The Winter Olympics are heating up. Jaylen Brown is making news at NBA All-Star Weekend, and Red Sox spring training's in full swing. It's a wide world of sports for the Boston Globe Sports Report, which starts right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Boston Globe Sports Report. I'm Ben Volen. We're back in the studio after a few weeks at the Super Bowl. Football's over now, but man, we've got everything else in the sports world to talk about. We're going to go to all corners of the globe in today's show, starting, of course, with the Olympics. Let's head out now to Milan, where we're going to bring in Globe sports writer Matt Porter. Matt, you've been covering Olympic hockey for us out in Italy. How's it shaping up now for Team USA? I believe they're the number 2 seed entering elimination play.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit tougher than it probably should be for them. Canada has been by far the most dominant team on the men's side. They look so good. They're everything you'd expect them to be when they have Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, like all these just incredible superstars who have been playing like it. So they're by far the number 1. They have the easiest draw. Some weird stuff happened with the group stage. I don't know if a lot of people kind of know how this works, but basically, there's all these different tiebreakers and stuff. What happened is Sweden lost those tiebreakers. Sweden's a really good hockey nation. They got a lot of NHL talent, a lot of NHL stars. And it looks like if both the US and Sweden advance through their first games, they will play together. They'll play each other. So that's going to be tough. If Sweden brings it, they're the type of team that can take down the US. US, on the men's side, they've looked all right, for them. They should be more in control of the games. Obviously, Jeremy Swayman's goaltending performance, I don't think he's going to get another shot here. So I would say they're probably like a B, probably about a B, I'd say. Solid B so far. All
right, you mentioned Swayman. That was going to be my next question for you, Matt. Sounds like Connor Hellebuyck has been named the starter. Any chance we see Swayman moving forward here the rest of the Olympics?
Yeah, coaching staff is saying what you'd expect. We can play all 3 of our guys. We like all 3 of our guys, but it's Connor Hellebuyck's net. He's been fantastic. Hasn't been challenged a ton. It's not like he's faced Canada or, even Finland or Sweden to this point. But, Swayman, the way he looked against Denmark, he had the right attitude afterwards. He's kind of letting it, roll off his shoulders. But you give up a goal from the red line. You just don't see that too often in any hockey game at any level. And it's a tough look for him. So I think he's cemented himself as the number 3 going forward.
Fair enough. Yeah, red line goal. That's kind of tough. This is the first time in 3 Olympics, and I guess 12 years since the NHL players have been playing in the Olympics. What's been the response or the vibe of it so far?
Everybody's excited. There's a huge American contingent here. There's tons of Canadians, Swedes, Finns. All the European countries have really showed up. Even Italy, they're getting crushed here in this tournament. They lost 11-0 the other day to Finland. But, they're showing up. They're cheering. It really feels like a big event. The last 2 Olympics, I don't know if anybody watching this could name, the gold medal winner last time. It was Finland. They had 1 player returning from that team. He's playing over in the Swiss league. So it's just different. Everybody, like the top 7 rosters are guys that people have heard of and guys that people have watched on, in NHL games. The quality of play is fantastic. Some of these games are really high pace. It's basically everything that I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be fantastic hockey, and it is.
My only issue, and I agree, it's been phenomenal, Matt, but my issue is I wanted the bigger Olympic-sized rinks. Why are the rinks smaller for this Olympics?
Just kind of the way it's been built. I think that's going to be the trend going forward. It really kind of started at Vancouver 2010. They were using an NHL rink then. They were going to go build a new one because they already had the Canucks rink right there downtown. And they've kind of continued that. As a guy who plays defense mostly, when I lace up the skates, I don't mind the smaller ice because you're skating a lot more if you're on the larger ice. It's a little bit easier to control, but I think it's helped the physicality of these games. We actually saw a fight last game between Canada and France. Tom Wilson of the Capitals, he's a big tough guy. Went after a French guy for hitting one of his guys, Nathan McKinnon, in the face. So the physicality ramps up. there's less room to kind of skate and dance, and it's more of a rugged game. So it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, less room to skate, definitely more physical. All right, we got about 10 seconds. For the women's team, is it gold or bust for them at this point?
Absolutely. They're the best team here. They look great. They're playing Sweden in about 15 minutes here, and I would expect them to get through. It's all about Canada. They know that's the only team that can beat them at this tournament.
All right, Matt Porter, thank you so much for joining us from Italy. Coming up next, more Olympics with Katie McInerney. Welcome back to the show, everybody. And you know what? I'm in Boston. Let's go back out to Italy for some more Winter Olympics. This time in Milan, we're going to bring in Katie McInerney, who's been covering the games for the Boston Globe. Katie, I'm just curious. This is a very spread out Olympics. How many hours today you spent on a train so far?
Buenos Aires, Ben. So today was a lighter day. I only had to take a bus and then another bus for about 45 minutes to get out here to Santa Julia Ice Hockey Arena where the U.S. women's hockey team is playing. But my high was probably the day that I had to travel to Cortina, which was like a 6-hour trip. I took a high-speed train to Venice, a 2.5-hour bus up to my hotel, and then to get to Cortina the next day, I had to take another hour bus north to get up there. So, yes, a lot of transit.
You know what, though? I think you wrote in your Globe article that Europe is kind of built for this with all the high-speed rails that they have. But with it being such a spread-out Olympics, in your opinion, what's the atmosphere like? Is that detracted from the atmosphere? Because I'll be honest, when I watch some of these events, it looks like a family and friends kind of crowd, not these big crowds that you expect from the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that a lot of these arenas aren't set up the way that we might expect them to be in the U.S. Like this arena, I think only seats like 7,000 here. And so they are expecting smaller crowds. It doesn't have as much of that Olympic feel as I thought. Granted, Milan is one of the biggest cities in the world, and all of the arenas for the events here are pretty much in the outer loop. And so it's from the center of the city, it's like 45 minutes to any of them. So when you're riding the train, sure, you see people in hockey jerseys, you see a lot of Team USA gear. But I did get to take a trip up to Cortina, and that's where it really felt like the Olympics. A big reason is because that town is super small. It's like 7,000 people year round, obviously balloons during ski season. But when you're walking up the main drag there, you see all types of gear. You see a lot of the support staff, coaches, a lot of athletes themselves. I ate a croissant next to some Australian skiers one day. And so you get more of the Olympic feel up there. And also some of the athletes were a little bit disappointed in it being a spread out games just because they didn't get to walk in the Parade of Nations in the opening ceremony at San Siro here in Milan. They did have smaller ceremonies at each of the sites. There are, I think, 4 of them. But, that does take away from some of it. That said, this is sort of the norm going forward for the Olympics, just because it really does reduce the need for building new venues for these games. And so the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, is really interested in reducing the environmental impact of hosting a games and making it just a little bit cheaper so more cities might be interested. So Milan's a great way to test this out because it's got a great transit system.
Well, the next games are in 2028 in LA. Not such a great transit system. It might take you 6 hours to get from downtown over to SoFi Stadium for some of these events. All right, moving on now, Katie. You know me, I love a good controversy. Tell me more about this curling controversy with Team Canada.
So you're asking the right person because I became a curling expert last week when I was covering the U.S. mixed doubles curling team with Southborough native Corey Dropkin, won a silver medal. Congrats to him. So here's the thing. It's called a hog line. It is the line that you cannot be touching the curling stone past. It is in green. It is on the ice. And actually the stones they have now have little sensors on them that will tell you if you've broken the rule or not. So that's an important word to remember, because when they are sliding the curling stone up to the hog line, they have to let it go before then. What Canada has been doing is slightly touching the stone, not the handle, the stone, as it glides away from them. And this was a huge deal here. Sweden, who they were playing, had someone set up a camera that they knew would be able to capture Team Canada doing this, because Team Canada has a reputation for cheating just a little bit. So obviously this all blew up. No ramifications yet. Team Canada is still in it, but obviously we love a weird cheating scandal at the Olympics in a sport we never talk about except for every 4 years. So
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
I'm here for a curling scandal. And when you see the reaction for the Canadian athletes, they were aghast. How dare you accuse us of cheating? And then they have video that shows them
Yes.
clearly touching it twice. So what's
Absolutely.
gonna be the fallout for all that?
I mean, the thing I learned about curling is that it's a big etiquette sport. Basically, if you accidentally touch a stone while you're sweeping, or if you make any sort of mistake, you're supposed to call it out on your own. So it's very much like gentlemen's or gentlewoman's rules. And so, because nothing has really come of this yet, I think that Canada is going to be able to advance to the knockout rounds here. It seems unlikely that the IOC is going to step in, but who knows? We still have a couple more days of curling up in Cortina, so anything could happen.
All right, Katie, you've also been covering the figure skating a lot. Tell us just what have been your standout moments so far from covering the figure skating?
Well, that's an interesting one. It's very tense in there because you're always watching these incredible, miraculous jumps, and you're like, oh my God, is someone going to fall? And that's what Ilya Malinin did twice the other night in the men's single skating. He was I'm not even talking about presumptive gold medal favorite. Nobody can touch this man. The fact that he can do multiple quad jumps throughout a single routine means that his scores are so much higher than the next best competitor. But he did. He fell twice. He pulled out of some quads, and it meant that he tumbled from first place after the short program into eighth place after the long program, the free skate. And so that was very dramatic. It was really, you could feel the air come out of the arena when he fell again. Now, I'm not going to pretend I'm a figure skating expert. I was sitting next to another journalist, and I said to her, so this is probably means he doesn't get gold, right? She was like, he might not even win a medal at all. And that's exactly what happened. I will say he was really vulnerable and gracious afterwards. He said that he was mentally not in the right place, that he wasn't focused on the right things, and he was so gracious to the winner from Kazakhstan. He's only 21 years old. He'll be back, but it was very, very intense. And you should have seen. I've never been more squished in a media situation than I was when I was trying to get quotes from Malinin after that.
All right, Katie McInerney, live from Milan. Thank you so much. Enjoy the pasta while you're out there. Try not to sit in too much traffic. All right, coming up next, we're going to head to the other side of the world, Los Angeles. Gary Washburn's live from the NBA All-Star Game, talking more about Jaylen Brown. Welcome back to the show, everybody. And okay, we're from the Olympics in Italy. Let's now head over to the West Coast, Los Angeles, where the NBA held its All-Star Game over the weekend. We're going to bring in Globe's NBA writer, Gary Washburn. We'll get to the Celtics and the All-Star Game in a minute, Gary, but first, a story you've reported for BostonGlobe.com. What's going on with Jaylen Brown and this party and his issue with the police in Beverly Hills? What's going on out there?
Well, Ben, he had on Saturday, it was All-Star Saturday. Everything out here is early, primarily because of the Olympics. With NBC, now they're delving back into the NBA sphere. They are producing everything early. So it was a 2:00 local beginning for the All-Star, usually All-Star Saturday night, but basically it's All-Star Saturday afternoon. So Jaylen has this at a Beverly Hills mansion that's worth about $70 million. He decides to have a watch party at the mansion outside for the All-Star Saturday festivities, then kind of a mixer slash like networking event from 6 to 7, then from 7 to 8 decides to have a panel about the future, like, planning, career things, kind of just helping young people and kind of empowering people. So the event went on unscathed until the panel began, and the executive director of the Players Association, Andre Iguodala, was about to speak. Then the police show up. Apparently, it was 7 cars that showed up, and the police basically walk on the stage and start doing everything, unplugging everything, and go, "You guys got to go." And it was about 200 people there, and they said, "You guys got to get the hell out of Beverly Hills, basically. Call your Ubers, go back to your cars. This event is over." So what Jaylen did was record his interaction with one of the officers, who appeared pretty clueless in terms of like why they're doing this. He just said, "Hey man, I'm doing my job." And he didn't really get a good explanation as to why they canceled, besides you guys did not apply for a permit for this event, or you guys did, I'm sorry, and it was denied, and you still held the event anyway. And he's like, well, no, we know the owners of the house. Jaylen Brown is a sponsor for Oakley Sunglasses, and the creator of Oakley Sunglasses is the owner of the house. So there's a connection there. So
Gary,
Jaylen,
if you don't mind, sorry. So it sounds like the police were saying you didn't have a permit, and Jaylen Brown was saying, what are you talking about? That was never an issue.
we didn't need a permit because we knew the owners of the house, and they let us use this house.
So shouldn't this be easy
$68 million mansion? Like they didn't do this at like a local park, right? Or they didn't do like, these are mansions. This is Beverly Hills. So there's a lot of property here. So it sounded like the neighbors saw all these people come in, parking, Ubering, getting out of their cars, and were like, yeah, we don't like this. This is our quiet neighborhood. Get these folks out of here. And that's kind of all how it, and then the police responded and said, you guys got to get the hell out of here. And so Jaylen took to social media to record his conversation with the officer, and really felt like he didn't get a satisfactory explanation. Then obviously after the game yesterday talked about it and said that, I went and got a statement from the city of Beverly Hills that said, hey, they applied for this permit. It was rejected because there's been other events maybe at this house that have been either frowned upon, too rowdy, whatever. But Jaylen's like, what does that have to do with me? And what does that have to do with my event? So it's a lot of confusion going on here. But Jaylen definitely thinks he was, for whatever reason, discriminated against.
Okay, yeah, a messy situation for sure. I want to stay on the Jaylen Brown subject here. He had an interesting tweet last week where he showed a comparison between last year's Celtics team and this year's Celtics team, and he's talking about how great this year's team is doing and let's keep it going. Isn't it kind of a big deal that he's basically telling Jason Tatum, don't come back, kind of we have this here?
I don't know if he's doing that. I definitely think he listened to all of the naysayers who said there's no way he can lead a team to the top or near the top of the Eastern Conference. He's not a number one option. He's going to turn the ball over. He's going to miss shots. He's going to, fumble this bag. And the Celtics are going to be maybe a competition for a play-in spot. And there's no way they can compete for the top of the East. And I think he's looking at that and going, oh, is that right? So he compares the stats from obviously 2025 when they were very successful. But it's not also Tatum. It's also the absence of Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Luke Cornett. So I think this narrative of like he's always pointing at Tatum as the guy and I want your spot and you're not all that and we did this together. I think that's really overblown. Like I've covered these guys now, Jaylen for 10 years, Jason for 9. They are close. Now, are they best friends? They're different guys. And I think, Ben, as you know, dealing with some of the Patriots, I think we tend to typecast a lot of these young guys as being all the same. They all listen to Drake and Kendrick Lamar. They all have Instagram accounts. They all do the same things, and they're not. Like Jason and Jaylen are just different kind of guys. So they're not as like besties, but they're definitely close. They definitely have a healthy respect for each other. So I don't think it was intentional for taking a shot at Jason. I think he was taking a shot at his critics who told him there's no way you can lead a team to as much success as it had before, whoever is not around. Jason, Al, Luke, whoever.
All right, Gary Washburn, thank you so much for the insight from LA. All right, coming up next, we've got some more takes on the Patriots and Red Sox after the break. Welcome back to the show, and for today's hot take, let's travel down to Foxborough, where Mike Vrabel shut the door on any speculation regarding rookie Will Campbell by saying, quote, he's our left tackle. We're not moving Will to guard, to center, to tight end, or anywhere else. It's admirable that Vrabel's supporting his guy, and Vrabel does have a pretty good batting average on his decision since coming back to the Patriots. But I don't know, maybe take a week or two to chew on this one. Campbell was awful, not just in the Super Bowl, but throughout the Patriots' playoff run, and really has done little to quiet the concerns that he's not built for left tackle. Campbell would probably make for a great guard if the Patriots can just swallow their pride and move him there. I'd hate to see Drake May take another beating in 2026 just because the Patriots wanted to give Campbell another shot at left tackle. All right, now we're going to head down to Florida for this week's Slam Dunk. And after listening to Red Sox bosses Craig Breslow and Tom Werner give their interviews last week, I think it's a slam dunk that the Red Sox are going to be adding a power bat to the lineup. Now, it might not be during spring training, and it will probably have to be from a trade, but when Breslow says he's not sure the Red Sox have a 20 home run hitter, and Werner says, quote, they have the powder to execute some more moves during the season, well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that the Red Sox are going to be adding a bat. They still haven't found a replacement for Rafael Devers or Alex Bregman, and unless the Red Sox are just gaslighting us all, it seems they realize they still need a lot more in their lineup than just getting Roman Anthony and Tristan Casas back from their injuries. All right, moving on now, we're going to go to Save You a Click. Let's bring in Danielle Dubois for this segment. Danielle, you went out on the wild west of social media. What'd you find for us this week?
Well, starting off with the Olympics from the Super Bowl, we have a lot to talk about. Starting off with Aaron Frankel, a goalie for the Boston Fleet and for the Team USA women's team, who has a salad Instagram account. It's a Caesar salad. And boy, I mean, if you need to look for a good Caesar salad, I think this is where you go.
Where are these salads? Like, are these salads that she's eaten, or is she telling us to go eat a salad? Like, tell me more about this.
It seems like they're salads that she's eaten, and she's rating them all throughout her entire journey and her travels. So we've even gotten some international now, and everybody seems to love it over in the Olympics.
I mean, I love a good salad, and you never see food influencers talking about salad before. It's usually steak or something more decadent. So pretty interesting there.
Exactly. Our second Saved You a Click is also from the Olympics with our good old friend, Steven Nodorosik. And he apparently has a doppelganger in this year's Olympics. It is a USA curler who looks exactly like him. And boy, I can't get enough of it. You gotta love it.
Have they been seen together? Are we sure that he's a doppelganger, or maybe it's a trick? I don't know. Have they been seen together?
They have been seen together in the same room. It is not a trick. He is not super talented in both Olympics. They have chatted on the phone, and apparently they've gotten along well.
All right, very good. All right, that's all we got time for today. Thank you to Danielle Dubois, Katie McInerney, Matt Porter, Gary Washburn. I'm Ben Volen. We'll catch you next week on the Boston Globe Sports Report.